Jimmy Marino wrote in saying he's currently reading Hulk Hogan's autobiography from 2002. He read a passage on Iron Mike Sharpe. In the book, Hogan mentions that Sharpe would usually be one of the first to wrestle on the card, but be one of the last out the door, and he'd even sometimes get locked in the stadiums due to taking so long in the showers. He was said to always have a bag full of sticks of deodorant, and it wasn't uncommon for him to use a whole stick of deodorant per arm, take a shower afterwards, and then use up another roll of deodorant afterwards. Do you have any stories about Iron Mike and his OCD?
Yes, he had OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. That's the only way to say it. He used to wear Sansabout slacks. And then when I'd be riding with him, we get out of the car and either get gas, which he would wear gloves to pump his car. Okay. And then he would before he would go into the convenience store, he would pat himself on the leg, on the thigh, like pat, 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 like, and he'd never go to the store. He'd be patting his leg like he had lint on his leg, but it was invisible. And I'd be in and out by the time he was done patting himself, so, and then I almost did something that is an unwritten rule that should be in life, but it is in the wrestling business. We were in Lake Placid, New York, and we were, at the time I lived in Staten Island, and he lived in Woodbridge, New Jersey. So he was dropping me off in Staten Island, but it's quite a long trip, and I was feeling drowsy, and he was driving, and the conversation was so boring that I was starting to fall asleep. Well, you're not supposed to fall asleep. You're supposed to keep the guy company if it's just you and him.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's just common sense. Keep the guy awake. So the conversation was boring and I was sleepy and I couldn't take it another mile. So finally, I decided to ask him a question I always wanted to ask. Do you eat pussy, Mike? Yeah, wait a minute, ha 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 ha, wait a minute, ha 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 ha. That's a personal question, ha ha ha. And I said, well, the reason I asked is because you're such a germaphobe. How long does it take you to prep the vagina before you go down on it? I mean, do you wear a bib, like from Red Lobster? I mean, how do you do that? And how does a man like you go about that? Oh, it's personal, Lanny, it's personal. Ha, ha, ha. I said, oh, okay, I guess I'm not going to get the answer, but at least I kept him awake so we weren't go off the road and, kill ourselves. One of the guys that were friends, it was Gorilla Monsoon's son, Joey Morella. He died. He fell asleep at the wheel. People fall asleep at the wheel a lot. And they don't even have to be drinking or on drugs. Sometimes they just fall asleep. If you get tired enough, sleep becomes not optional. It becomes mandatory. So I try to keep him awake with I don't mean to be gross for the fans, but it's what I asked him. And wait a minute, ha, ha, ha. Love Mike Sharpe. What a nice person. But he was a slave to his OCD.
Oh, yeah!